evening, fuckers. We're back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video, and this one is quite a long one. So this is a request from MikkDC, and yeah, well, the entire length of the journey, alright, yeah, the entire trip is going to be Shrewsbury to Bristol Temple Meads. Now, because of the DLCs that I have, and also I think because of the DLCs that are available, the only way I can do that run is across two route DLCs, which I've done before. I've got no problem with doing that. So we're going to go from Shrewsbury to Newport, which yeah, is the entire length of the Welsh Marches route DLC, and then we switch DLCs and we take the route from Newport to Bristol Temple Meads. So how I'm going to do it insofar as a scenario is it's basically two shifts. So the first shift that we are on is to take the train from Shrewsbury to Hereford, which will be our one and only stop along the way while we are doing this particular route DLC. Now once we're at Hereford and everyone's got off, we've then got to take that train to Newport, where it will start the next part of the shift, which is a Newport to Bristol service. So that's how I'm working it. As far as specifics, it is spring, it's clear weather, and it's 10 AM. None of that really changes anything as far as how the route goes. And as far as the loco, it's a class 47. MikkDC certainly does like his class 47s. The 47 has appeared at least 3 times, and every single time it's appeared it's been a MikkDC choice. So yeah, he likes his 47s. So yeah, we are in a class 47 with the large logo, the large logo livery. It's a 47/2, and we are pulling 6 Mark IIA coaches. Mark II coaches are slightly heavier than the Mark 1s, but yeah, there's certainly no problem for this particular loco. Right, that is the setup. Let's get it underway. And here we are. So yep, here is our 47/2, which is a class 47 that has been converted from diesel to diesel electric. That's our 6 coaches and a class 175 EU right in front of us. So the total journey from here to Newport is 94.39 miles. It's a long old way, and this is likely to be a bit of a tricky one. So let's get ourselves underway. In fact, no, before we do that, let's get the passengers on board. So a load of people who have got off here, but yeah, no one getting on. But yeah, for the sake of like this particular scenario, we are about to start the Newport to not Newport, the Shrewsbury to Hereford service, and it's an express service. So now I will also admit this is my second attempt at doing this run. I had a stab at it last night. Well, it was actually 1 o'clock in the morning. I was barely awake and I was being distracted left, right and centre. It was awful. It was so bad that I stopped recording once I got to Hereford, and in that time I had racked up 9 speeding errors, 2 SPAD errors, and I had triggered 2 emergency braking procedures. So yeah, it was shit. In fact, by the time I reached this stage, I'd already incurred 2 speeding errors. So yeah, it was a total fucking bollocks up. Anyway, we can get up to 30 mph now. Now I can also tell you that there is a couple of issues with this route, and they are annoying because this is a fantastic route. I really do like it, but it has some graphical glitches, and there are sections where occasionally it just will not render the rails. It could be a section of the track that's next to us, it could be the track that we are on, but yeah, there are sections where the rails are just not being rendered. Now it doesn't do it all the time, so some of the sections it where that issue would affect us, we may not see it here, we may not see it at all. I very much doubt it as we pass a class 70. And this thing is pulling a hell of a lot of freight. We're now into a 70 mph section, so, but yeah, look how much freight this thing is pulling. These are coal hoppers, and I think they're all full. Let's take a look. Oh no, they're all empties. Oh well. Nevertheless, that single class 70 is pulling quite a few of them. So anyway, yes, there's potential graphical glitches coming up. Now once we pass Hereford, those graphical glitches should then stop, if we have had any. But it's only once we pass Hereford that we even enter Wales. Because passing Hereford, the next station is Abergavenny, as we are passing what I believe is Shrewsbury Town Football Stadium. Although I would have expected it to be blue and orange rather than blue and white. Still. Jesus Christ. Right, so we have speed reduction to 60, so what I'll do is, yeah, that's the alert for it, is coast here through the 60 section. We're not there yet, but... And then once we get to this 80 section here, then we'll go back to full throttle and get us some speed up again. So we are in the 60 mph section now. I believe the 80 section starts as we go past that overbridge there. No, it's here. So wait for the rest of the train to get into that section. There we are. Right. Now, unfortunately, the issues with this route may not finish with the rails and yeah, the potential rendering issues with the rails. We may get some red signals, and if we do, there is a possibility that they are like false reds. Well, they are and they're not. Now, they don't crop up until we are much closer to Hereford, so I'll come back to those if and when they appear. It's fair to say the horn on this train is not in the best of states. Right, we'll throttle down because we're coming up to a 75 mph section, so we'll coast through it. Very short section, and then once we're back to 80 we can throttle up again. We'll probably have lost about 5 mph by the time we get into the 80 mph section there. So we're into the 75. Now we're just coming into the 80, wait for the rest of the train to get in. There we go. Right, so now we'll throttle up, get ourselves back up to 80 mph. So last night by this time I'd already racked up about 5 speeding errors, and I wasn't done yet. So far we're doing well. I must admit, the combination of regular light signals and the old style semaphore signals does get a bit confusing. I'm not great with the semaphore signals because I can't see them very well until we are a lot closer. So I have to more sort of rely on seeing the semaphore signals, you know, which direction the actual semaphore stick, there you go, is pointing straight down, then yeah, we're fine. So we're now on a 1 in 105 uphill gradient. We're going to need to, at the very least, try and reduce the amount of speed loss. There are quite a few gradients on this route. The steepest ones don't occur until we are actually in Wales, but as you can see, it's now 1 in 90. Yeah, it's not like they are not at all steep in this section either. Well, I mean, we are still gaining speed, which is handy. I mean, we're gaining it at an extremely slow rate, but nevertheless we are gaining it. So it's not quite so steep now, 1 in 117, and it's still steep enough, but we'll be gaining speed at a faster rate. Indeed, we are gaining it at a faster rate. There's no shortage of whistle signals around here, so yeah, you're going to be hearing that god-awful train horn sound for quite a while yet. We have a max speed increase coming up to 85. It's coming up in just under a mile. Uphill climb has steepened a little bit again, so it's now 1 in 100. So it's now 1 in 167. And we're now into the 85 mph section, so throttle up a bit more. We're not that far off the maximum speed that this train can do. It can do 95, and as we've only got 6 passenger coaches, I think we will be able to actually do 95 in this train. So the first station coming up is Church Stretton. Trying to remember what the next station after this is. I know it sounds much more like a pub than it does a station, but yeah, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. We're actually into a 90 mph section now. There was no, well, I didn't see any trackside signs, and there was certainly nothing on the route display, but we'll certainly take it. So we've already done over 10 miles of this, let's say, Shrewsbury to Hereford run. Here we are at Church Stretton station. Doesn't look like a bad old place. Not sure I'd want to be in any of those houses where the back garden goes straight onto the rails. So we'll throttle down and coast for a bit. We've got an 80 mph section coming up in about 1.25 miles. We will certainly need to brake for that. I can't believe we will lose 8 mph speed from coasting that quickly. In fact, we're gaining speed because we're now on a 1 in 150 downhill section. So let's apply some braking. Brakes on this thing they're great once they kick in, but they do take a while to kick in. In the class 47 2s, they were converted to diesel electric, which explains the far better acceleration, better performance all round. Unfortunately, they didn't do anything to the brakes, so the brakes are pretty much the same as they were on a standard 47, which is fine if you are, you know, driving a standard 47, but this thing is not a standard 47. We're now downhill on a 1 in 112, so yeah, controlling some, yeah, speed controlling brakes are going to be in order here. Max speed, actually we're now losing a bit of speed. Yeah, it's now 1 in 277. Yeah, max speed is going up to 90 again in about 3/4 of a mile. I think we can throttle up a little gaining speed a lot faster. Well, yeah, because we're now on a 1 in 111 downhill section, so we don't need to be throttling up at all for here. We'll gain speed just from coasting again. Speed's coming down now. We're on a 1 in 125 uphill section, but we are now in a 90 mph section, so we can really apply some throttle here. Now, I was saying at the start here that the Class 47 has appeared in 3 videos prior to this one. I guess in a way you could say it's appeared in 4, because I have done a video which was not a MikkDC request, where yeah, I was in a Class 57, and I've said it on plenty of occasions, but I might as well say it yet again. The Class 57 is basically a very heavily modified and heavily upgraded Class 47. If you imagine it as being like a 47/10, that's what the 57 is. Well, I finally got a speeding thing. This downhill section kind of caught me a bit off guard. So Craven Arms is the next station. That's the one that I was trying to remember that sounds more like a pub. So yeah, we're on a 1 in 105 downhill section here. Unsurprisingly, that also caught me out last night, but by this point that was about the 6th speeding error I'd racked up, as opposed to the 1st here. Much flatter ground. There's another 75 or 175 rather passes us. So, let's give it some thrash as we go through Craven Arms. It does look like little more than a village. Admittedly, it's a fairly large village, but alright, now we're going to have to slow down again, because it looks like we're approaching a fairly steep downhill section, and we have a speed reduction to 80 mph while we are going down this section. So it's 1 in 112 downhill. I think we're going to need to brake fairly heavily for this. Let it take us down to about 75, yeah. So then we got some room to gain speed while we are going down this rather steep side. Okay, so we're into the 80 mph section, but we are going back up to 90 in about a mile and a half. So downhill slope is it's a lot shallower now, 1 in 286. We are actually losing speed. It's won't throttle all the way. So it's stop the speed loss. once we, okay, we are gaining speed, but at a very, very slow rate, which is fine. Once we're into the 90 section, we'll throttle up to max. So we just entered it, wait for the rest of the train to get in there. There we go. Okay, it's very open, kind of empty sort of countryside, but it does look great. I mean, okay, it's certainly not as scenic as, you know, like the North Wales or the Weir side, or was it Weir down Teesdale, or the scenic Scottish routes. But nevertheless, it still looks fantastic. Coast through it now. We do have another speed reduction coming up in a mile and a half down to 80, so if we just keep coasting from here on, we'll probably be fine. So Ludlow is the next station. Again, we'll just be racing through there. I think the next station after that is Leominster, which is probably as close to a major town as it probably gets before we hit Hereford, but that said, it is still anything but a major town. A very small place. Right, we're going to have to start braking pretty heavy because I haven't lost enough speed. I don't want to pick up another speeding thing. There we go. Here is Ludlow. The tunnel at the end of it, but that reminds me, I forgot to do the lights when we set off. Oh well. I've got the lights sorted out now, even though we did start, yeah, we set off some 30 miles back. So once we enter this 90 mph section, we will throttle up again. So yeah, we'll have 20 mph to regain at this point, which we might as well start now. So we're on a 1 in 112 downhill section, so it's definitely controlled braking time. It doesn't look like it's that steep a downhill section on the map, or on the display I should say. In fact now it isn't, but so yeah, we're approaching Wooferton, which really looks like a disused station. So it's still showing on the route here, but the station itself, yeah, there's not a lot left. But it certainly does look like there was a station there. So yeah, here we are. So you can see plenty of side buildings and all that, and you can see areas where yeah, there was clearly a station there at some point. And I think there's another disused station a bit further along the line here. Another downhill section coming up. This will certainly affect our acceleration rate, which hadn't been great up until this point. So 1 in 154 downhill. Let's closer a bit. Oh, actually it's just levelled out a bit more now, so it's now 1 in 461, so Newport is now less than 60 miles away. But the service we're doing to Hereford is the next disused station. It looks very much like one to me, but it's not even marked on the route here, so on the route display. So I've no idea what that station was. We won't go full throttle, but we'll see if we can get our speed up at a half decent rate. I'm sure if the horn on this thing was to, break or something, I don't think anybody watching this video will be sorry if that happened. So yeah, Leominster is next station, and as with all the previous ones, we're just going straight through it. You know what's coming next. So no change in speed as we are going through Leominster, which is quite a surprise. Another 175. They're not bad trains to drive in this game. Now we can see some of the rendering thing with the track. The track next to me, yeah, is currently disappeared. The trains will still run on it, but yeah, you just can't see the track at all. It is ridiculous, but yeah, see, here it comes back again. Right, so we have a speed restriction, yeah, max speed reduction in a mile and a half or a mile and a third to 80. We may need to brake a little bit for it. I think, yeah, if we just coast it, actually, I think we might do it without the need to brake. Now, having gone through Leominster, I do have a feeling the next station is Hereford. But it's not like, you know, it's a very short gap between Leominster and Hereford. It's big enough. So we're into the 80 section, and yeah, we're absolutely fine here. So the next speed reduction is to 65. And yeah, I've no idea why that 65 mph section is there. But as you can see, it is quite short, and then once we are through there, we can get back up to 80. Brake slightly just to make sure that we get below 65, because I'm not sure we would have done it just from coasting. But now we've made sure of it. So here we are at the 65 section. If you're thinking, oh, it's for this tunnel, no, the 80 mph limit comes along at the start of the tunnel. So yeah, we can now start accelerating. So we have a pretty steep downhill section coming up. 1 in 100. We can accelerate to 90 once we get towards the bottom of it. sure you've all missed that. So we have an 85 MPH section coming up. We'll coast for this, so obviously we'll be doing well below 85 when we get there, but we haven't exactly got a tight timetable we've got to stick to, so I think I may even have time to light up another fag. So here we are now in the 85 section, and we're doing 77, so we have an 80 MPH section coming up. Now I'll be honest, the reason why I'm coasting here is I think we are approaching the area where we get the possible false red signals. So here we have a class 66. And yep, here we have the yellow signal. So we'll start braking. So this signal here will be red. And we are fairly close to Hereford station now, because I'm pretty sure that this red signal is caused by a train that's in Hereford station, but it really shouldn't be causing a red. I'll explain why once we've stopped. Typical, this signal has to be around this corner and there's no repeater signal. Yep, here it is, and it is red. Ah, it's just turned yellow. Now, it didn't do that yesterday. I'm quite pleasantly surprised. However, just because this is yellow now does not mean that the next signal will be. So I can't just crank the speed right up. We'll go up to about 45. See the signal for the other line, but not us. there's also, yeah, a red light there for the line that's coming in, but that's red because we're coming along. Now, is that warning me about the speed reduction? No. Oh, it's a red. We've got to really brake hard here. Oh, I don't know if we'll... Yeah, okay, yeah, I think we will make it. It's going to be close. Or at least certainly closer than I would like. Okay, not as close as I'd like. Let's get a bit closer. Now, this could be red for some time, because if we look further forward, okay, a long way forward, as we start approaching Hereford station, but you can see there's, okay, here's the train that's causing our red. What is a high-speed train doing on this line? Mind you, I mean, I've been in high-speed trains on lines that you definitely wouldn't see one. But I'm wondering, yeah, see, we're still showing as a red, even though that high-speed train is quite a way ahead of us. But of course, this is not a very heavily signalled line, this. But yeah, this train pulls into here. No, it's actually done a better job of it than it did last time. Last time, this end car was about here. And it was partially blocking this line, and that's why I was stuck at that red signal for what felt like an age. Now, trouble is, we've got reds everywhere. And I think this is going to be a bit sort of stuck here. In fact, he's even gone straight... No, okay, I was just about to say he was about to go through that red. If we come back to us, yeah, we're still at this red. Let's see if it will... Okay, it's allowing us to go through it, so... Okay, let's do that. So it could actually be that this is a signal failure. So we'll only take it up to 40 because we got this 40 mph one here in about half a mile. Another 20 mph reduction as we approach Hereford station itself. I thought that was another signal. In fact, we may have to start braking it because this signal here may also be red. So we're going to have to brake for it. We may have to ask permission to go through this one as well because it does look like it's red. Still can't see it. Yeah, we haven't got close enough to be able to see the fucking thing. Ah, so this one's green. So that must be a faulty signal that we pass. Stuck at red for some reason. Now around this station, this is another one where bits of the track don't render. It's extremely annoying. But I think you'll find that high speed train will still be on or waiting at Hereford station. I don't think it's allowed to move until we've gone through, which means it's then going to be held up a hell of a lot. So let's get our speed down to 20. So another green. We're going downhill. Yep, there's the HST there. Trusty old class 43. So the signal ahead now is green. So yeah, that high speed train has been stuck there. It's got to wait for us to go ahead of it. Unfortunately for him, we have some passengers to drop off, and you can see ahead of us the track stops getting rendered for a bit. It doesn't derail us or anything. We, you know, it's as far as the game's concerned, the track's there. It's just that it's not showing it, which is, I say, it's ridiculous. But there you go. Right, so everybody off. This, as far as passengers are concerned, is the last stop, even though there are passengers getting on. Well, they better want to get off at Newport, because that is our next stop. So yeah, we're still running on the rails, it's just that we can't see them. We can't see the points that we're on either, which has just merged us into this rail here. So at some point between here and the next station, we do cross the border into Wales, because the next station is Abergavenny, which is, you know, it's something of a major town in Wales, but the station for it is very, very small. And if you're approaching the station from one direction, it's quite an easy one to stop at, get your timings right. If you approach it from another direction, it is really tough to be able to stop there, because you're coming down a very steep gradient and the ground does not flatten out at the station, so you're having to stop while still on that very steep gradient. And of course that's the direction we're coming from. And that is the one and only reason why I decided, right, we are not stopping at Abergavenny. So up to 60 mph. Now I'm assuming this is the 7 we're just passing, which I think that must be the border. So I think now we are in Wales. So we can accelerate up to 75 in half a mile, but then we got a decrease to 55. We're also approaching quite a steep uphill climb. Now, I'm going to say it and probably put the kiss of death on it, but now that we have passed Hereford, there should be no more sections where the track does not render. I've never had that visual glitch at any of the section of this line that's in Wales. So let's see how steep this section is before putting some speed up. He's warning us about the 55 mph limit. So let's try and reduce the speed loss. We have reduced it. I'd rather stop it completely. I think we may have done that. So thankfully this section is not hugely long. And then we hit a 75 mph section. As we are right now on a 1 in 92 uphill climb. So yeah, we're going to start losing speed again. We're losing it at a very, very slow rate, so I think we'll be okay. Oh, I'm sure you'll be glad to hear. I bet you've missed that, haven't you? Okay, so we are now in the 75 section. Let's get some speed up. So we're now entering the section, or actually we've been in it for a few minutes now, where I did not reach when I made my attempt last night. But yeah, so the difference is staggering. On this run I've made one speeding error, but it might have been two. But last night, yeah, I'd made 9 with 2 spads and 2 triggering the emergency brakes. So. In case anyone's going to ask in the comments, I've already deleted it, so no, you won't be seeing that one. Get back some of that 5 mph we've lost. This looks like a fairly modern mine of some kind. Only sounds marginally less rough outside than it does in the cab. So 90 mph max speed in half a mile. So just entered it. Now we can throttle up. So ETA is saying it's still just shy of 40 minutes to get to Newport, which is about 33.5 miles away, so yeah, we've still got a way to go. Hopefully we can coast down to this 85, although we certainly will need to brake for the 70 mph section that is coming up about half a mile after it. In fact, we may need to, oh no we won't. I was going to say we may need to brake for this, but no, we're already okay now. We're still over half a mile from it. I think I let go of the brakes a bit too early there. There we go, now we're alright. Looks like another former station. So that'll be at Pontrylas. Obviously once we're into the 90 mph section we shall throttle up again there. So we've got A bit of speed we can certainly build up once we have done so. So we're into the 90, we can probably start throttling up now actually. There we go. Another uphill section coming up. Now admittedly it's fairly gradual to start with, 1 in 204, but it looks like it's getting quite a bit steeper, and then we have a speed reduction at the top to 75, so we may as well keep coasting for now. If this uphill part continues to get steeper, which it is, then we may lose that 10 mph by the time we get to the 75 limit. Yeah, we're now on a 1 in 100. Now we'll try to reduce the amount of speed that is getting shaved off here. It's now 1 in 99, so we may need to actually go full throttle just to keep it. Okay, we are gaining some speed, but quite a slow rate though. I think we'll be okay here. Now the summit is coming up. Angel. Oh fucking hell. However you pronounce that, that's the summit. So we're into a 90 mph section. and now we have the downhill part. So we will coast for this because we are, yeah, 1 in 95 downhill. Start shaving some speed now. Gotta get this down to 80. And we're on, yeah, it's now 1 in 82, this downhill section, so we'll take it way past 80. So then it can start picking up speed again. So Abergavenny station is, yeah, 1.5 miles away. You can see it's still on the downhill section. Okay, it's not as steep as 1 in 82, but we're having a sort of break for it while we are still on this 1 in 82 section. And yeah, it is, to put it mildly, very tricky. It's so easy to overshoot the entire station, and if you're in a career scenario, that's minus 100 points. And yeah, if you're in a career scenario, you're trying to do it in one of those things, shitty class 175, and oh bollocks, there's another piece of track not being rendered. I thought it had stopped long before here. I don't remember it happening at this station before, so that's annoying. It does ruin what would be a great route. I mean, look at this. We've now got, yeah, the section I'm on is now not being rendered. Yeah. Anyway, let's get some speed back up now that we are through there. I think the stations now all come in fairly quick succession, and I think we've still got about 4 stations to go, and yet there's only, yeah, 18 miles to Newport. So we're going to be coasting for a fair bit of this, because yeah, the downhill sections, and I think there's still some, yeah, I was just going to say there's still some pretty hefty uphill sections. Obviously we are not going to be coasting that. That may have been another disused station we just passed. Right, so we are approaching, yeah, we're on the uphill section. It's already a 1 in 80, so we definitely need to throttle up for this. So we're not gaining any speed, but we're not losing any either, so I'm okay with that. We do have a max speed increase coming up to 85. I'm pretty sure we will not have broken the 80 mph speed limit before we enter that section, I think. Well, so much for that prediction. So we're into the 85 section, so yeah, now we'll be alright. So we're now on a 1 in 109 uphill climb. So we are gaining speed, but yeah, at quite a slow rate. Although it's now a 1 in 126, so it's not quite so bad. Little Mill Junction. When I first saw that, I thought it said Little Mix Junction. I mean, that's a junction for like 4 completely talentless scrubbers. Oh, fucking hell, I got so obsessed with slagging off that lot that I wasn't paying attention to my speed. Yeah, we're on a 1 in 141 downhill section. No wonder that sort of came up on me. So going back uphill again, 1 in 104, so we'll get the throttle back up. So Pontypool station, well, Pontypool and New Inn station is about 1.25 miles. Now according to that, we can do 1,488 going through there. I'm going to guess that's not right. Now we've definitely got to slow down, but what speed do we slow down to? I haven't got a fucking clue. Surely we haven't got to slow down to like 15. And we've got another missing section of track. You do start to wonder if fucking Dovetail Games ever bother playtesting their stuff. You know, we've had the totally ridiculous Class 91. We've got all these missing sections of track here. We've got a speed thing here which is telling us, originally it was telling us we could do about 1500 miles an hour. Now it's telling us we can do naught. So I've slowed us right down to 15 and right, so it's 50. Okay. Not fucking naught. So yeah, that had us basically somewhere in between naught and Mach 2 that we could have done, yeah, speed wise. It's just, fuck's sake. I mean, we're not talking frontier developments levels of ineptitude, but there are moments where they do make me wonder. And then that truck just completely disappeared. So we're now on a 1 in 95 downhill section, so yeah, we won't accelerate any more until we're into this 80 mph section. And even then, actually, okay, we'll accelerate to about 65 and then we'll start coasting again. Okay, I'll make it 70. So Cambran station is coming up next. So another fairly modern colliery here. Actually, that could be... I'm not so sure that is a mining colliery. Another class 175 on some more invisible rails. I say the infuriating thing is this is a good route, and it's ruined by stupid shit like this. Which could easily have been sorted out if they bothered to actually, you know, check it prior to releasing it. So now I'm on invisible rails, but the other side, the rails have come back. And I'm now speeding. And now, for some reason, it's showing the gradient in percentage, which doesn't really mean a great deal to me. I only know it as, yeah, okay, so now it's back to, yeah. I think we rather overdid the braking there a bit. So this 70 mph should be a speed reduction, but I can be accelerating up to that. I think that will go down as using the horn in the wrong place. So Newport is now only 5 miles away, well 5.5 miles away. To get some controlled braking, and I missed a whistle there. Yeah, trying to play this one-handed, not a good idea. Well, we've got a 60 mph section coming up as well, so let's get some braking done. So it looks like we are going to have to slow to 40 for a fair bit of the last 2 and a bit miles. This is quite a sharp corner here to be taken at 60. I mean, because I've been coasting, we only took it at 55, but still. Right. These brakes on get us down to 40. Extremely early, but also extremely heavy on the brakes. So get us closer to 40 than we certainly are. That'll do, because we've got to slow down some more to 20 mph fairly soon. Anyone knows what river this is, feel free to let us know. Frames per second have taken a bit of a hit. let's get ourselves down to 20 mph. So we're still just shy of a mile from Newport, so I mean, alright, we can speed up a bit from 20, but by the time we can do that we're going to be relatively close to the 30 and then back to 20 again. So alright, I will speed up a bit, but yeah, we're not going to be able to do it for long. So Newport station is clearly a pretty hefty one. Right, let's get a bit of speed up again. Another river. Probably the same river we crossed earlier. I mean, that was really hardly worth doing, but oh well. And just to finish it off, yeah, we're on another invisible set of rails for this platform. So here we are then, platform 3, Newport. So what will happen is that another driver will come along and move this train into position, ready for its next run, which will take us from here to Bristol. Okay, so it's taken just under half an hour, but we've got the train all cleaned up and ready to go. We're still on Newport platform 3, which is where we came in, but yeah, with some very impressive engineering, the invisible rails have now been sorted out and they will not be appearing again. And we are ready for the ready to start our next service, which is our express run to Bristol Temple Meads. So we'll let I mean, a whole swarm of passengers came off, but none of them actually came on, so oh well. Let's get the brakes off and let's get underway. So 35 3/4 miles to Bristol Temple Meads. So it's almost just a third of the distance that we have covered in order to get here. Yeah, not a fantastic start. Very soon entering the 40 mph section. In fact, I think we can accelerate now. There we go. Not sure of the river. So the only Welsh river I know is the Taff. And I thought the Taff went through Cardiff, not Newport. But I'm open to correction if anyone happens to know. So we can coast for a bit until we enter the 75 mph section. Whilst the train was being prepared, I was able to get myself a much needed refill on the old cup of tea front. I'm pretty sure for a good chunk of this run we'll be able to do 90 mph, rather like we were on the Welsh Marches section. In fact, yeah, we have a 90 mph section coming up in just over a mile. And I'm pretty confident that we are not going to have any issues like faulty signals and unexpected yellows cropping up anywhere on this particular part of the trip. Put it this way, I've done this trip on plenty of occasions and I've never encountered such problems before. So, as I believe I've already mentioned, this is an express service to Bristol Temple Meads. We will not be stopping at any stations on the way, simply because there are no sort of like real major stations worth stopping at before we get there. I think the first station we come to is Seven Tunnel Junction. On a 1 in 106 downhill section. It certainly doesn't look that steep on the display, but well, it certainly helped with the acceleration. throttle down to roughly 50%. I want to try and maintain our speed rather than constantly be speeding up and then slowing down. I think at 525 RPM, yeah, speed will be slowly coming down. As it is, we've got to slow down in 1.5 miles anyway to 75, so we'll just coast with 0 throttle. This is all warning us about the speed reduction. We are clearly going to have to brake for it. We're not losing anywhere near enough speed by just coasting. Now we have lost rather more than I wanted. So 7 Tunnel Junction station coming up in 1.5 miles. Didn't seem no matter how few revs I put on, we were still gaining speed. We've got to now lose about 5 mph. Now we can gain 5 mph once we pass through 7 Tunnel Junction station. We can go back up to 75, but we can coast that as we are going down that rather steep gradient that takes us to the 7 Tunnel itself. So here we are at the station, such as it is. So yeah, 1 in 90 downhill section. We have this overbridge that we go through, and then next is the entrance to the 7 Tunnel. Here we are. We are going to have to do quite a bit of controlled braking because we're in here for about 3 miles. once at the halfway point, we will then need to be probably going full throttle, because we're then on a 1 in 100 uphill section. There we are. So we are now in England. We are now on the uphill section. So yeah, 1 in 100 gradient. Here we are, back in broad daylight, and about to enter the 90 mph section, which we are now in, but yeah, we need the ground to level out a bit before we can really start picking up any decent amount of speed. We are increasing speed, but at a very, very slow rate. Building station, about just over half a mile. So we'll give it the full thrash treatment as we are going through, considering that we are already doing that. I mean, it's a tiny station which is pretty much in the middle of fuck all nowhere. I can't imagine it getting used very often. So now we are picking up speed at a pretty decent rate, but we have another uphill section coming up because that is likely to affect our acceleration rate quite a bit. In fact, yeah, it's another 1 in 100, so that is definitely going to affect the acceleration. In fact, we are slowing down. Another tunnel coming up, Patchway tunnel, and we have a flashing yellow, so we are going to be turning off. Clearly we are not going to be turning off in here though. So yeah, just after Patchway station. Looks like there's at least 2 sets of points that we will be using. Probably going to be taking us off this route, which I suspect, if we stayed on here, would be taking us sort of towards, I don't know, like Weymouth, Poole, Bournemouth, all that sort of way. So yeah, we've got to turn off here and start heading in the completely opposite direction to get us to Bristol. So certainly no thrash going through Patchway station. Go. Wait for the rest of the train to get into that 50 mph section, and well, we can pull away a little bit, but we've got another 40 mph section coming up pretty soon at 3/4 of a mile. We have Filton Abbey Wood station, which is followed by quite a steep downhill section, and yeah, I noticed that just too late. And of course we've now also got to really start braking for this 40 mph section coming up. Okay, we are on a 1 in 180 uphill section, which helps to reduce the speed. Even with the throttle in shunt, we're still gaining speed here. That's despite being on a 1 in 180 uphill. Now it's not so, yeah. So yeah, no thrash as we go through Filton Abbey Wood station. But I think we're now going to be fine as far as like speed, we can go up to 75, and as far as lights, we are only 4 miles or so from Temple Meads. So yeah, we're on a 1 in 75 downhill section here. We'll coast this, I suspect. Even though we're only coasting, we are still going to need to do some speed controlling with the brakes before we reach the bottom. Stapleton Road station coming up next. No surprise that we are not stopping there. Lawrence Hill station quite soon after Stapleton Road, barely half a mile between the two. Try and reduce the rate that we were accelerating, especially while we're on that curve. So here is Stapleton Road station. Take a look there. Lawrence Hill fast approaching, but we've got to get our speed down to 40. So yeah, here is Lawrence Hill station. Yeah, certainly no max thrash going through there. And the next station is Temple Meads itself. Overdid the braking somewhat. So I think that's, yeah, it's just a single yellow. Be changing on these points yet to that Yeah, there's a line. Doesn't matter that it's single yellow because we will be stopping before the next station or the next signal anyway. So there we are. That was in total Shrewsbury to Bristol via Newport. It really is 2 services completed. Shrewsbury to Hereford before then going on to Newport in order to then do the Newport to Bristol service. But that was a great run. I did enjoy that one. Good combination, yeah, of the routes, and I do really like the Welsh Marches route, but it is spoilt by, you know, ridiculous stuff like the rails not being rendered and that. And there is no excuse for it. But yeah, having the faulty signal there, I've got no problem with that. Actually, it sort of added a little something to the run. So yeah, great stuff. So yes, if you have a request, then click on the link in this description. It will take you to the video where I go through all of the locomotives and all of the routes that I will do. Do not request something that I have specifically said I will not do, because all that does is irritate the fuck out of me. Yeah, but then put your request down and we'll see about getting it done. But this one is done. Great one, this. Really like that one. So we will see you at the next one.